Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Cherry. Let's talk about a quote that I hear often from founders and entrepreneurs, which is I tell myself that things are going to get easier once I get through this next phase, but then that phase never ends. This is very common. It feels like there's always some next unlock that's going to happen. And once I get to that point, then I can finally fill in the blank. And this is true because we think that in the future, we're going to be a different person. We think that in the future, my future self, they're going to finally take some space back in their calendar to spend with their friends and family. They're going to finally be the person who's going to get serious about their health and their well-being and their fitness. They're going to be the person who addresses this anxiety that you've been experiencing for months now. We think that that future person will finally have the space to really care and really focus. And I believe that a lot of this type of thinking comes from not really recognizing the wholeness of ourselves in any given moment. And when I ask entrepreneurs how they're doing, oftentimes the response I get is really about their business. So when I ask how they're doing, they say that, things are going well, or they're kind of struggling with a certain area of their company. And they tell me about the things that they're doing. And I'm oftentimes just asking how they're doing as a person. How are you doing? You as in your sort of entire self, your entire sense of self. And that's surprising for them when I tell them that's why I'm asking that question, because they're thinking so much about the hiring, the decisions, the pivoting, the team, the scaling, that they don't often make space for the other parts of themselves that are also present: the exhaustion, the anxiety, the lack of sleep, the feeling like they should be happier despite all the progress and feeling behind. And if we separate ourselves for too long, if we go or have our work selves go off in one direction and then have our personal selves, our entire sort of being, stay back here, there starts to be this split. And at some point, something tends to bring those two back together. And usually it's not something that's very good in the short run. It's an injury, a wake-up call of some kind, a breakup, some blow up in their business that says basically, hey, if you don't pay attention to me over here, the one who's exhausted, who's not being noticed or witnessed or addressed, and the work self is just running off in the other direction, I'm going to do something that's going to kind of wake you up and bring the two selves back together. So what I want to talk about today is being more present to your entire self at work. And that means being present even as you're taking action to different aspects of yourself. When I'm creating this video, as an example, am I aware of the part of me, this sort of editor, creator part of me that wants to do a good job? It's thinking about the content. Am I aware of the part of me that just has more human types of needs, that's feeling inspired or bored or hungry or whatever that might be? And can I connect both of them together in this process of creation so that I'm not split as I'm taking action into two people, my personal self and my work self, or however you want to address those two? And if we can bring these two back together, that's where we don't really start thinking about the future so much. That's where there's not some future date where I'm going to be the person who does X, Y, and Z, because I'm the person now. There's not this imagined future where suddenly you'll be integrated and you'll start the thing that you want to start. And I think it's an Esther Hicks quote where she says that the point of power is in the present. The 3 Ps, I guess. The point of power is in the present. And what that means is that if you can be integrated and whole and present to yourself, present to what you want right now in this moment, that's the best place to start creating the future that you've previously been imagining can only happen later. That's what brings you back to being able to start today. So let's talk about a few things that keep you from being present, from using your present power. And the first one is the editor. If you're a creator or an entrepreneur and you're making something, If you also have an editor that is present while you're writing, critiquing what you're doing, critiquing what you're saying, interrupting you mentally as you're trying to get something done, not only is it difficult to finish something, but it's just a difficult critique to live with while you're trying to create. It's very start and stop. And so if we can allow the editor to fall in the backdrop while we're creating, that'll help you be more present to yourself. And the editor can also be this part of your mind that is saying, don't listen to how you feel. Don't listen to being tired. Don't listen to what you're experiencing right now. Push through. So we need to create some space and let ourselves really be fully who we are in that moment without the editor. The editor can come back later, but for now, I'm going to create where I'm going to be without the editor present. As I've already mentioned, the second thing that keeps us from this is telling ourselves a story about the future having some answer that we don't currently have. So if you find yourself in a story or a fantasy about the future saying, that's when I'm going to have the answer to this, that's when I'm going to start the habit to this, just catch yourself in that story and try and check in with what your current answer is. What do I believe today? What's true for me right now? If I was going to start with that habit or that change, where would I start today? That brings it back out of a story from the future and into the present where you can actually take action. And the third thing is believing in self-sacrifice, believing that your worth is measured by how much you give up, by how much you sacrifice for others, by how much weight you can put in your shoulders. This is very common for entrepreneurs, where you feel that your identity is based on owning the difficulty, the struggle, the pain. And it's really hard to stop that. It's really hard to allow things to be easier or to be somebody who exists without struggle. So all of those three things will keep you held back from your full potential, which is it's right now, per my earlier point. And that means also including your entire self today. And this is really important. I want to end here on why this is so important, because when time passes, when we miss moments, when we weren't present because of the stress, because of the pressure, because of what we're doing in our work, we don't get those moments back. There is no refund. There is no going back to the past, right? And so you can't, no matter where you get to in the future, you can't go back to that moment where you could have spent time with friends and family, that moment where you could have focused more on your health, the friendships you let drift. You can't rewind what you did, with the sleepless nights instead of really living. And even if things in some ways are better in the future, what I'm saying is that you still missed a part of the past in the pursuit of getting there. And that's the thing to avoid, because let's say that you create all the success in the world, but you don't have those same parts of you alongside you who can enjoy it. That's a huge tragedy, right? So we can't lose so much of ourselves in the pursuit of success that when we get it, we don't have those parts of ourselves present anymore. So integrating these two pieces together, your personal self and your work self, being present to both of them, being present to the work you're doing and creating success so that you're more whole in the process, it's going to leave you more satisfied in the long run. And it's a practice that you can do every day. So I'm curious what this brings up for you. It's a deeper topic today, talking about the split that many of us feel. Do you feel like you're leaving parts of yourself behind as you're focusing on your work, or as you focus on parts of yourself? Is it hard to focus on getting things done? I'm curious what you think about that. We can always chat in the comments. Be back again very soon. Later.